Hi guys, how's everyone doing here today? Just want to say thank you for watching, and just want to pay our respects to Martin Luther King Jr. That day was yesterday, and he was a person who, spoke for a lot of good things, believed in racial equality, and still remembered to this day. So it's a message that should always resonate within us. And speaking of with, it brings me to a certain term that you heard a lot during the midterms, the term that is commonly referred to as woke, or wokeness, or the woke mob, as they like to put it. That makes it sound a lot more threatening. Here's the thing, and it was mostly coined a lot, or used a lot by Ron DeSantis during the midterms, which he won his re-election for governor of Florida. And how exactly do you find woke? Okay, because I suppose it depends who you're asking, because there's several definitions to it. Just to give you some idea, after doing a small amount of research, is that it was used by some conservatives as an insult against progressive values, as seen in this midterm election cycle. Like if you're in support of LGBTQs or women's rights, or you believe anti-racism, equality for people of color, you're considered woke. How exactly is that a bad thing? I'm not so sure. But the term was originally coined by progressive black Americans and was used in racial justice movements in the early mid-1900s. The Ferguson, Missouri protests that year helped wake people up to the social injustices of police brutality against the black community. And that was before Black Lives Matter, and still tangling with the issue to this day, unfortunately. Also, beginning in the 2010s, it came to encompass a broader awareness of social inequalities, such as sexism, and also has been used as a shorthand for American left ideas involving identity politics and social justice, such as the notion of white privilege and slavery reparations for African Americans. Identity has been at the heart of the so-called culture wars being seen across the country as Democrats and Republicans go head-to-head on issues such as LGBTQ's rights, racial education in schools, and more. So, it sounds like to me, if you're trying to be fair and equal towards people, then you're considered woke. But by the right, it's used more like as a dog whistle, where if you stigmatize it enough times, people see it as a negative. So when you talk about fairness for transgenders or LGBTQs, you're woke. If you speak out against racism, you're woke. If you want to see fairness for all walks of life, all colors, of all identities and orientations, well, congratulations, you are woke. Still sounds pretty silly, if you ask me. And during Ron DeSantis' victory speech, he gave off this rather disgusting performance, is that freedom is here to stay, as if it was ever gone. And how he won the election, rewritten the political map, which also raises an eyebrow if his victory election was really fair, which I have doubts, but I'm not going to speculate on that because I don't have any evidence and I don't want to give in to misinformation. It's a win for the ages because they've embraced freedom, maintained law and order, and protected the rights of parents by rejecting woke ideology. Florida is where woke goes to die. So you see, once again, the dog whistle to get his fans riled up. And, that's pretty much the gist of it. Okay, so let's break down some of Ron DeSantis' actions, which I've talked about in previous videos, okay? He claims to restore freedom. Whose freedom? Okay, because I didn't see anyone's freedoms being infringed upon except maybe LGBTQs and certain teachers as far as what they want to teach, because he did the Don't Say Gay bill, which is designed to discriminate against LGBTQs. And he's also a big fan of book banning because he figures some books are what? Teaching fairness or teaching racism or stuff like that. I don't know specifically which books he's banned. I'd be curious to know. But I know it's not for the greater good. It's not to expand education. If anything, education in our country is seriously flawed. that's not just a Florida issue. So why would you ban books? How would that expand education? And he claims to be also restoring law and order, or about law and order, which supposedly many on the right do, and yet he pulls a stunt where he illegally transports migrants from his state to another state. That was at Massachusetts, at Martha Vineyard, and did it without authorization, without telling anyone, and it is nothing more than just an act of cruelty. And the worst part is migrants, they're here legally, so in addition to LGBTQs, he has a problem with immigration, which is also makes him a bit of a racist. Let's just call him for what he is. Cruelty, that is not a form of leadership. He may be governor, he may have the title, but he's not a leader, okay? He is by all definition a bully, and like all bullies, they are nothing more than cowards. You saw that, I'm sorry, I dropped my notes, during the debates between him and, what's his name, Charlie Crist, which unfortunately Chris lost to. But Chris hammered him on some of these atrocities that he committed. And he had very little or nothing to say. Oh yeah, when he's got his base in front of him, an audience that supports him, sure, then he's all like free speeching about anti-woke. This is where woke comes to die. Okay, but when put on the spot, he kind of clams up, which goes to show just how strong he really, truly is. He's not strong. He may be in charge, but he's not a leader. Because cruelty is not a form of leadership. That is a form of actions you see in dictators and authoritarians. You see it in fascism. Discriminating against a certain demographic, where there be people of color or of orientation or of identity. That is not a form of leadership. And the one thing to keep in mind is cruelty and discrimination, historically speaking, these so-called leaders that have committed such acts, for the most part you discover that they do not truly care about people, let alone the people that they claim to be leading. I mean, okay, people in Florida or anyone in general who supports DeSantis might disagree. Okay, fair enough. Give me an example of some time in history where an alleged leader committed acts of cruelties, supposedly for the greater good, but and in the end didn't really succeed, but claimed, hey, things are better now because of what I did, because of these atrocities. So the end justifies the means. Give me one example, just one example. I'm dying to hear about it. I don't care how far back in history you have to go. Is he going to run for president in 2024? There's been talk about it. He's never really openly said it. I think he's, playing things a little strategically. Maybe he won't. Could he win? There's a possibility of it. Let's not deny it. But what I will say is this. Given his poor leadership skills, and I don't care about his military background, that doesn't excuse such bad behavior. I don't care how educated he is. If he's truly that smart, he should know better. Maybe he's politically savvy, but as far as humanity, compassion, it's null and void. Which, by the way, humanity and compassion are the qualities we have found in great leaders in our American history. So, maybe that'll win him brownie points to a good many in the people of Florida, to Republicans, and even in the MAGA base. But nationwide, I think that's going to weigh heavily against him. People like myself, thus, that he considers woke, would vote against him. Just the way the majority voted against Trump, not once, but twice. And just the way they crushed the alleged red wave that was going to come during the midterms, you can bet they're going to be there to vote against him. Because the point I've made about discrimination, whether it's racism or anti-LGBTQ or transgender, the simple truth is, these people are not going anywhere. Not just in the state of Florida, but across the country. There's not going to be a time where all people of color are just going to throw their hands up and flee, and you're going to have this predominantly white nation. It's not going to happen. LGBTQs aren't going to, give up their orientation, whether it be out of fear or simply they just choose to give up. They're not going anywhere. And that's the same thing with transgender. Instead of hating them so much, instead of being so opposed to them, why not try to get to know them? Try to understand their lifestyles and everything. Because as people might say that I'm woke, No, it's not a question of that I'm woke. I don't even like to use the term. I'm just bringing it up as an example. But here's my simple stance, even though I'm not a leader and not involved in politics. Like I've said before, I care about people in all walks of life, regardless of what state you live in. You know, even the bad people in certain red states who behave rather atrociously. I don't think they should necessarily be disregarded. As far as pushing policies, I can't think of any real accomplishments Ron has done. If you know of any, by all means, please add in the comments. But I believe in increasing the minimum wage to help all walks of life. I believe in equal rights for all Americans, you know, regardless of gender, regardless of orientation and identity. I believe in peaceful protests. I don't believe in cruelty. I don't believe in violence. You know, I believe in taking care of all the American people. You know, the middle class, the working class, the lower class, and again, regardless of what state you live in, you could be in a red state. I still say that all walks of life should be taken care of. That's not a question of that makes me woke, that's a question of that makes me a human being. And those are the type of qualities that would make a great leader. So I don't think everyone in Florida is a bad person. And even then, I don't think they should all be disregarded. You know, another thing I believe in is everyone's right to vote freely and fairly. Something else that DeSantis doesn't believe in. You know, and like I said, I don't believe in all Floridians are bad any more than all Republicans are bad or all members of the GOP. And some of these bad qualities of leadership, it can happen on the Democratic side too. Don't think for one instant it's limited to one party. And if the Democrats were behaving in such a horrendous way, I would speak out against them as well. And I'm not doing it to irritate people. I'm doing it because, like I said, I care about people. I want to see them all be treated fairly. So as far as Ron DeSantis goes, you know, whether you run for president, go for it. I'd be happy to vote against you. As far as you and your policies of cruelty, all I can say is the hell with him. The hell with him and the hell with his racist, the hell with his, you know, feelings against gay people, the hell with his book banning, the hell with him. Because he's not a person that I think is worthy of being called a leader. He may have the title, but he doesn't exercise the qualities of good leadership that this quality needs, that Florida needs. So I don't see Florida as a place where wokeness goes to die. You know, I see it as a place where hateful people like Ron like to go to, you know, spread their vile cruelty and hatred. Well, go for president, I dare you to, because we'll be there to stop you. You know, and we'll always speak out against you. And sooner or later, some of your cruel acts are going to catch up to you, whether you know, and whether or not there'll be accountability, we can only hope. But we should definitely speak out against it, because it's wrong. It is not patriotic. It is not the American way. And as I can't say it enough, you know, DeSantis who likes to exercise hate, I say you take the hate out of the equation. The hell with it. So, if that offends you, I'm sorry. I don't do it to offend people. I do it to point out the simple difference between right and wrong. I really hope you understand. You know, because that type of behavior is not acceptable in any state, anywhere in our nation, let alone Congress. So, thank you for watching. Have a good one.